were not muttaqeen but became muttaqeen after that. So it is a sunnah. So we are talking today about Shaykh Al-Qadri Al-Jilani. As I said, he was among the Ahlullah, among the friends of Allah, among the saints of this ummah, and among the ulama of this ummah. He was one of the greatest. Some scholars or some have put his name next to, for example, Sarri Saqati, Sheikh Junaid al-Baghdadi. They have said he was that type of Ahlullah, friend of Allah. Many people associate themselves today with Shaykh Al-Qadri Al-Jilani, and they are known as Qadriya, Qadri Tariqa, Qadri people. They belong to the Qadri Tariqa. Sometimes certain things that are done are okay within the boundaries of acceptance in Islam. Certain times people do something that is not part of Islam, and they believe that it is part of Islam. So these also need to be educated. So I thought, let me talk about the life of this great saint, because his life is very inspiring for us. Like the lives of the Ahlullah, the reason why Allah talks about them, the Prophet talked about them, is because when you listen to the stories, you become inspired. You become motivated. So Qasasul Anbiya or Qasas of the Ahlullah is mentioned, so you become inspired from them. But at the same time, I thought that certain people call themselves Qadri, Al-Qadri, Qadri, and they do certain things that are not in accordance with Islamic Sharia. So this is a great opportunity to educate and let everybody know about what is within the acceptance of Islam, what comes outside the acceptance of Islam. The first, foremost important thing you must understand is that there are three types of scholars always. In Islam, there is always three types of scholars. One type of scholar, alim, is the one that is an expert on theology. Theology means belief, aqidah. To believe in Allah, to believe in Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Anbiya, Malaika, etc. comes all under the category of Iman, Imaniyat. Under Iman comes all belief, what we believe. Any person, scholar that is an expert on Iman, he is known as mutakallimin. He is known as what? Mutakallimin. These are the people, the scholars that are experts on kalam, experts on ilmul kalam. They are theologians. Then there is a second type of scholar in Islamic law, in Islam. The first is mutakallimin. They are those that are scholars of aqidah, scholars of theology, like Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, for example. He was a great scholar of kalam. Then there is another type of ulama. These are experts on Islamic law. They may not be experts on ilmul kalam, but they are experts on Islamic teachings, law. Law means the commandments of Allah. Awamir, nawahi. What is compulsory, what is forbidden, the ahkamat. This is known as ilmul ahkam. Some scholars are experts on ahkam. They are experts on the teachings of Islam when it deals with code and conduct. These scholars are either fuqaha, either muhaddisin. There are two types among them, fuqaha and muhaddisin. And brothers that are sitting all the way at the back, 3-4 brothers, if you can come kindly here. Because every time I have to keep looking that way because I want to also see you. Please, if you don't mind, 2-3 brothers, come sit down behind these brothers. Jazakumullah khair. So the second type of ulama are those that are expert on ahkam, on the teachings. The first is expert on kalam, faith, belief, theology. The second are experts on ahkamat of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. So they deal with fiqh, ilm al-fiqh. They are fuqaha, like Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa. They are experts on fiqh, Islamic law. Or they are experts on hadith, muhaddiseen. They are known as Imam Bukhari, Imam Nisa'i, Imam Tirmizi, Imam Muslim. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, for example, was a faqih, at the same time he was muhaddis. He was a scholar of ahkamat, expert, but at the same time he was an expert on hadith. That is why he was both. He was faqih and he was jurist. Both. Faqih and muhaddis. Now, not every theologian is faqih at the same time, or is muhaddis at the same time. Not every muhaddis is faqih at the same time. Not every faqih is mutakallim at the same time. Because everybody has his own field. Like at doctors, you have all doctors. Some people are doctor of cardiology. They are doctors of the heart. Some people are doctor on very different fields. Anesthesia. That person that deals with anesthesia, he's an expert. And there are some doctors that are doctors of medicine, generally. There are some that are specified. So we call them all doctors. But they are all experts in their own fields. Same way, ulama, the problem is many people do not realize this. Ulama not necessarily always are expert on every field. Some scholar may be expert on aqidah, but he may not be an expert on fiqh and hadith. Some may be expert on hadith, but he may be dependent on others on his opinion on fiqh. That is why Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, Imam Bukhari, he himself was a muhaddis, but he himself at the same time followed Imam Shafi'i in his fiqh. He was Shafi'i in fiqh. He was dependent on Imam Shafi'i in the ahkamat. So some scholars are mutakallimin, scholars experts on theology, some are experts on fiqh or hadith. They are known as the scholars of ahkam, those that deal with the teachings of Islam. Now then there is a third type of scholar. Until now, the third type of knowledge or the part of Islam is something that is called ihsan. So first, Islamic teachings consist of three different branches: Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. Now this is from the hadith of the Prophet, very, very significant hadith. It's known as Hadith Jibreel. Have you heard of Hadith Jibreel? When Jibreel came in the form of a human being to the Prophet and he asked him questions. Go and try to search for it. Do some homework, everybody. Go online, search Hadith Jibreel. It is muttafaq alayh hadith. It is an absolutely authentic hadith, an amazing hadith, because it explains to us what Islam actually is. Because many people think Islam is just to believe. Some people think Islam is to believe and practice. But many people do not realize that there is a third aspect of our deen. And this is the aspect that many people today have rejected or neglected or ignored. This branch of Islam, aspect of Islam, is known as ihsan. What is it known as? It is known as ihsan. Ihsan is spiritual excellence. Ihsan does not deal with faith, because that is iman. It does not deal with how to pray, how to give zakat, how to do hajj. It does not deal with the traditions, with the asnad, with the narrations of the hadith. No. Ihsan deals with what? The inside of your mind, your soul. It deals with the niyyah, intention. Ihsan is so important that if someone, for example, practices on iman, practices on Islam, but neglects importance of ihsan, that person's ibadah may not be accepted whatsoever. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, for example, he said, certain people on the Day of Judgment will come with prayers to Allah, and Allah will say, you prayed because you wanted to be known as Abid. People call you Abid. From me, no reward for you. It's Hadith in Bukhari. The Rasulullah said, a generous man who in his life used to spend charity. He on the day of judgment, when he will be in front of the court of Allah, Allah will say to him, you get nothing from me. And he will say, Ya Allah, but I used to give charity in my life. I used to pay charity. I was generous. Allah will say, yes, you did so, but you used to do it so people call you generous. Not for me. You did it for yourself. You showed off. There's a person who used to do Hajj. Allah will say to him, Shaheed. There is a person who died in martyr. And he will say, I gave my life. And Allah will say to him, no, you didn't give your life for me. You gave it for dunya, for fame. You gave it for any other reason. So it means that there is something that is more important than the action. There is something more important than you just coming on Jum'ah and praying 2 rak'at. What is that? The intention behind that. This science that deals with intention, that deals with the inner self, deals with the inside of your body, this science is known as Ihsan. Ilm al-Ihsan, the science of spiritual excellence. Those people that are experts on Ihsan, those scholars that are experts on Ihsan, they used to be known as Muhsinin. Nowadays they are known as Sufis and saints. Brother Khan, can I get water, some water please? Tell Brother Arif please. Those scholars or people that are known as experts on this science, they are known, they have various different titles. Some people call them Ahlullah, the people of Allah. Some people call them Awliya Allah, friends of Allah. Some people call them Sufis, but Sufi name is very controversial nowadays. So that is why I do not like to say Sufis. But while they are actually, they used to be called Sufiya, Ahl Tasawwuf. So these people, they are known as Ahlullah, Awliya Allah. They are experts on the science of Ihsan. Sheikh Al-Qadri Jilani, going back to what I wanted to bring you, he was among those scholars of Islam who was amazingly not just an expert on Ihsan. He was at the same time Faqih. He was at the same time Muhaddis. He was at the same time theologian, Mutakallim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made his life, his personality, comprehensive personality. He was not just an expert on the tasawwuf, on ihsan, on the state of the mind, the soul. At the same time, he was faqih. He was an expert on Islamic teachings. People, ulama used to come and sit in his gatherings and used to gain from him. Scholars of tafsir, mufassirin used to come in his gatherings and they used to learn from him. Scholars of hadith, muhaddisin used to come in his gatherings. They used to learn from him. Fuqaha used to come, they used to learn from him. Mutakallimin used to come, they used to learn from him. So his personality was a comprehensive personality. Many people today know him only as Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, the Sufi. Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, the friend of Allah. Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, the saint of Allah. While in fact, he himself was faqih of his time, muhaddis of his time, mutakallim of his time. He was a great scholar of Islam. And just to emphasize and to explain to you, because I can't talk about Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani today, because I want to just tell you the importance of such people in Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the great scholars of hadith and great scholars of ilm al-fiqh is Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Is who Imam? Ahmad bin Hanbal. You heard about Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal? Is there anyone who follows Hanbali fiqh here? Nobody? Mostly Ahnaf, Shawafi, Maliki? You follow Hanbali fiqh?
Maliki.
Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal is one of the greatest scholars of Islam. He was, at the same time, he was faqih, at the scholar expert on law. At the same time, he was expert on hadith, muhaddis. Now this Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, I will tell you an amazing thing today. He used to sit in the company of a man whose name is Bishr al-Hafi. Whose name is? Bishr al-Hafi. Bishr al-Hafi, and he used to sit in his company, and he used to sit and used to associate with him. Bishr al-Hafi was neither a faqih, he was neither a muhaddis, he was neither a mutakallim. Bishr al-Hafi was an expert on ihsan, the state of the heart. In fact, Bishr al-Hafi, his appearance was of a very poor man. He didn't wear very special clothes. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, being an alim faqih, used to wear the uniform of scholars. You know, the amama, the thawb, he used to wear that. Bishr al-Hafi was a simple man. He used to just have a small hat, normal clothes, and Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal used to sit in his company for hours and hours and hours. Once people came to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal to meet him, and they traveled from far away. They traveled to him so they may ask him about various different questions they have about Islamic law. Once they came to the city of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, they went to his house, but they did not find him in his house. They asked his wife, "Where is Imam?" Their children, the family. They said, "Imam is in such and such place." So these people went there, and they realized that there is a gathering of people. There is a gathering of people, they are all sitting down. And they were surprised to see one man sitting on a chair or sitting on a high muqam, and he was having very simple clothes. He didn't look like a scholar. He didn't look like a man with a lot of knowledge. And they were shocked to see Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal sitting in front of him like this, and continuously looking at him, and like he is gaining something, like he is learning from him. After this gathering finished, they went to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. They said, "Ya Imam, we don't understand one thing. We came all the way from our city, hundreds of miles, so we could come and seek from you, understand from you the Sharia, the teachings of Islam. But when we came, we saw you sitting in the company of a man who is neither a faqih, neither a muhaddis, neither a scholar. What is it, Imam? That why were you sitting in his company? What did you learn from him? What did you gain from him?" Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal's reply, listen to that reply, it's amazing. He says, "O people, if you want to understand the muqam of that man, Bishr al-Hafi, in his company I was sitting. His muqam is, his importance, significance to me is, you come to me to find out about the teachings of Islam, just the law, what to do, how to do, what not to do. This man, Bishr al-Hafi, I go to him because he connects me with the Lord who has sent the teachings. He connects me with Almighty Allah. You come to me so I can connect you with the commandments of Allah, and he connects me with Almighty Allah himself directly." This is Bishr al-Hafi. Bishr al-Hafi was